Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Today is Sunday, January 13th, 2019. As usual, thanks to everybody for checking out the show. Hope y'all are enjoying it. Hope everybody's listening and subscribing and watching on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Twitch, and any place else that you find podcasts. Hope everybody's following on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And if you ever want to send me an email, have any questions, comments, anything you'd like to see or hear on the show, the email address is catchhookshoot@gmail.com. And yeah, like I said, thanks to everybody who's been downloading and listening. This so far has actually been my biggest month for downloads for the show, so thank you guys very much for all the new listeners that I might have, and everybody who's been checking out the show every week. I appreciate you guys more than I can ever tell you. So yeah, I hope everybody is helping spread the word. Let your friends, family, anybody who's into wrestling, let them know about the show. And like I announced last week, I am going to be doing a live viewing party for the Royal Rumble on Sunday, January 27th, starting at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be live streaming on Twitch, and for anybody in the Chicago area, the viewing party is going to be happening at Nighthawk Coffee Bar and Tavern. It's on the north side of Chicago. The address is 4744 North Kimball Avenue. It's right at the intersection of Kimball and Lawrence, right across the street from the Brown Line station. So if you're in the area, come on down, check it out. We'll be showing the pay-per-view on the big screens over there. I will not be streaming the pay-per-view on Twitch. Like I said last week, I'm not trying to get shut down for any copyright violations or anything like that. But me and my buddy Rich, who's been on the show before, will be doing our own commentary and yeah, just having some fun. So it should be a good time. So come on down, check it out, or check out the live stream on Twitch. It'll be my first time actually doing a live stream. So yeah, I hope everybody will check it out and spread the word, let people know. If you're, like I said on Twitter, if you're tired of the same old boring commentary on pay-per-views, pull up the Twitch feed and listen to our commentary. Should be entertaining to say the least. Should be good for a few laughs. So hope you guys will join me for that one. So getting into what's been going on this week in pro wrestling, Impact had their homecoming pay-per-view last weekend. Rich Swann is your X Division champion. Taya Valkyrie is the new Knockouts champion. Johnny Impact retained his Impact World title. So we've got husband and wife world champions in Impact right now with Johnny Impact and Taya. Rosemary made her return in the Knockouts tag team match that went down between Allie and Sue Young versus Kiera Hogan and Jordan Grace. Killer Cross attacked Johnny Impact and Taya after the end of the pay-per-view. Powerbomb Taya into the crowd. It was a sick looking spot, and so yeah, by all accounts, it was a really good pay-per-view. Impact has been, improving by leaps and bounds since they've come under new management, and I'm really starting to like Impact again, which I'm really happy about. There was a time there a couple years ago, Impact was my favorite wrestling to watch on TV, and they just they fell off really hard, and they're making their way back up. They've got this new network that they're on, the Pursuit channel, which is also owned by Anthem. So they're able to, with that channel being owned by Anthem, they're able to get away with a little bit more, get a little bit edgier, kind of as we saw this past week for you guys that watched the first episode on Pursuit or on Twitch, because now they're streaming on Twitch every week, which is awesome because my cable system does not carry the Pursuit channel, so I was able to check it out on Twitch. But yeah, so they've been saying they're going to get a little bit edgier, a little bit more adult oriented, which is good. I think it's going to work out really well for them, and hopefully at some point down the line they can get on a little bigger network and get a little bit bigger audience again. Some New Japan news. Kushida announced he's going to be leaving New Japan for WWE. I believe he's going to NXT, actually. I'm sure he's going to probably end up going the same route as Shinsuke Nakamura did, going through NXT before he makes his way to the main roster. I know some people are worried that he's going to end up on 205 Live. But you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. 205 Live is probably some of the best wrestling the WWE is putting out right now. The only problem with 205 Live is that it's really under promoted by WWE. They don't you don't really hear them talk about 205 Live on Raw or on SmackDown or even on NXT. So it doesn't have a really big audience, unfortunately, because like I said, wrestling wise, it's one of the better shows that WWE is putting out right now. But yeah, so that wasn't really the point, though. Point is, Kushida's going to be making his way to the WWE one way or the other. He's got his final match coming up in New Japan against Tanahashi. So looking forward to him making his debut. Some other WWE news. According to rumors going around online, it looks like John Cena is going to be working a really, really scaled back schedule, probably something along the lines of what The Undertaker works. Maybe not quite as few dates, more than likely from what I was reading, it's going to be just a big event. So obviously he's working Royal Rumble. He announced his entry into the Rumble this past week on Raw. I would assume obviously he's probably going to work WrestleMania, probably SummerSlam and Survivor Series, so probably just like the big four pay-per-views, and probably a couple of Raws or SmackDowns around those time periods. But I think his weekly full-time WWE career is pretty much done. But working this kind of schedule, it'll do a couple of things. Number one, it'll prolong his career, for a few years with not being in the ring every single week. It's going to allow him, time to heal up, to rest up, longer time in between matches. So he'll be able to, I would think, extend his career pretty much as far as he wants it to, kind of like The Undertaker's been able to do with the scaled back schedule that he works, only working a few dates a year. And it's also, I think, gonna, I guess, make people miss him would be the best way to put it. I'm sure you're still gonna hear the Cena sucks chants, but I think it's gonna end up eventually being more of an affectionate type thing, kind of the way Kurt Angle still gets the "you suck" chants, but it's done from a place of affection, like I said. So I think we'll probably see Cena heading in that same kind of direction. He'll still get the "you suck" chants, but it'll be a completely different intent behind it, so to speak. So we'll have to see how that works out. Also on Raw, we had segment between Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. It was really kind of awkward, I think would be the best word. Braun was in the ring. Apparently, he's still not medically cleared to get into any kind of physicality. So he was cutting a promo in the ring. Brock and Paul Heyman were backstage, and they were kind of going back and forth a little bit, and it got really kind of repetitive with stuff they were saying. I mean, and Brock made his way out to the ring, kind of walked around the ring a little bit, and then left. It was like I said, it was kind of awkward. So not the greatest promo to hype up a championship match that's coming up. I think some things could have been done differently. You could have had like Brock come walking out, and you could have had like the wall of security, so to speak, or you could have had Triple H or Stephanie or somebody, one of the authority figures come out and say, no, this is not going to happen here. Could have, cleared the locker room and got in between them and not actually let them make physical contact with each other. Just basically, make it look good is what I'm saying. And none of that was done. So like I said, I ended up just feeling kind of awkward. Some other stuff going on Raw this week. Like I said, John Cena announced he's entering the Royal Rumble. Raw kicked off with a huge brawl between Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins, which that was actually kind of cool. I like that. I think the two of them could have a pretty good match. Of course, Rollins is still in a program with Dean Ambrose over the Intercontinental title, so it seems like Lashley is kind of interjected into that now. So not 100% sure where they're going with that. Rollins did have his rematch with Ambrose on Raw for the Intercontinental title. Bobby Lashley interfered and basically cost Rollins the title. So we'll have to see where that's going. It looks like they may be making that kind of a three-way rivalry. I'm not thinking that's going to last into WrestleMania. I'm pretty sure the blow off for this rivalry is gonna. Well, I think the blow off for pretty much all of the rivalries going on right now are gonna be, either at Royal Rumble or around that time, because you figure the Rumble is pretty much the kickoff to the build up to WrestleMania. So we're gonna see some new rivalries coming into play, obviously with the Rumble winners challenging for championships. So we'll have to see what kind of direction they decide to go with those. If they really are going to start listening to the fans more, I think we're going to, hopefully see things move in a good direction especially with the title pictures moving into WrestleMania. Probably the best part of Raw this past week was the tribute to Mean Gene Okerlund. There was a lot of controversy about Hulk Hogan being the one to come out and honor him. Like I said last week on the show, Hogan is synonymous with Mean Gene. There's nobody more connected with Mean Gene than Hulk Hogan. And, I think it was really well done. Hogan came out, you could tell he was speaking from the heart. He, was showing a lot of emotion when talking about Mean Gene. And like I said, I think it was really well done. Hogan went out there and made it all about Mean Gene, didn't make it about himself or anything else. So it was, done with a lot of class. And, it was, like I said, the best segment of the show. Sasha Banks is the new number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. Yeah, this one kind of came out of left field. Ronda was basically on Alexa Bliss's new little talk show, and said that she wants her next opponent to be Sasha. Sasha came out, got into a little verbal sparring match with Nia. The two of them had a match to decide the number one contender, and Sasha came out on top. So she will be challenging Ronda Rousey at the Royal Rumble. So hopefully this is the beginning of the four horsewomen versus four horsewomen that everybody's been wanting to see the last couple of years. So yeah, hopefully this is the lead up to that, or like I said, at least the beginnings of it, kind of planting the seeds for that rivalry to eventually come to fruition. On the SmackDown side, they opened up this week with a really, really good promo by Daniel Bryan. He was out in the concession area of the auditorium and just berating the fans and how they're, killing the planet and hurting the environment and eating all this garbage and all this kind of stuff. It was a great, great promo. Daniel Bryan is really one of the best heel champions I've seen in a while, and he's kind of in the same vein as CM Punk when he was doing the whole, the straight edge angle, basically saying he was better than everybody else because he was straight edge, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't, do any of this stuff. And, Bryan's kind of taking that same road, but obviously making it his own. And he, I'm loving what they're doing with Daniel Bryan right now. For the SmackDown Women's Division, Becky Lynch is the new number one contender to go against Asuka at the Royal Rumble. She defeated Charlotte and Carmella in a three-way match. Really good match. I mean, Becky and Charlotte obviously are going to put on a good match every time they get in the ring. Throwing Carmella in the mix, I think a lot of people were kind of iffy on that. Not a whole lot of people are real high on Carmella, but she held her own in there with the two, probably the two best women wrestlers on SmackDown, and it was a good match. I was actually impressed with Carmella in this one, and so like I said, Becky Lynch is the new number one contender. She'll be taking on Asuka at the Royal Rumble. It wouldn't surprise me to see Becky get the title back at the Rumble, because by all accounts, your WrestleMania main event is going to be Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte, and there's even talk that it could be a unification match for the women's championships, which I think would be really cool. So the way I can see that working out is Becky winning the championship back at the Royal Rumble, Charlotte winning the women's Royal Rumble and challenging both of them for the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships to unify the titles. So that's how I could see that playing out. Hopefully that's what we get, because that's what I would really like to see as the main event of WrestleMania is those three. So we'll see how that all works out in a couple of weeks here. And then this weekend was the first ever NXT UK Takeover in Blackpool, England. Yeah, I mean, like any other NXT Takeover, it was a fantastic show. Toni Storm is the new NXT UK Women's Champion, and rightfully so. I mean, with all of the issues that she's been having the last couple of weeks with the her photos being leaked and shutting down her social media because people were just being ruthless with her as far as the leaked photos go, as far as like blaming her and things like that. It was just utterly ridiculous. People just acting like complete idiots. But she was able to get past it. She wrestled a fantastic match and came out the new NXT UK Women's Champion, and good on her. Congrats to Toni Storm. She has more than earned it. Pete Dunne was able to retain his WWE UK title in a great match. It was actually a pretty long match too. I was surprised it went as long as it did. I thought it was a good match. I saw kind of mixed reviews on it online. I personally liked it. I like the long title matches like that where, they go a good 30, 40 minutes, whatever it might be. I thought it was great. At the end of the show, after Pete Dunne was victorious in his match, Walter made his debut in NXT UK, so it'd be interesting to see that rivalry going forward. Had a little bit of a stare down with Pete Dunne in the ring. Finn Balor made a surprise appearance and took on Jordan Devlin. That again, great match. Kind of a teacher versus student vibe. The crowd when Balor's music hit just blew the roof off of the arena that they were in. It was great match. And we also had the crowning of the first ever UK Tag Team Champions with Drake and Gibson defeated Mustache Mountain. Yeah, Mustache Mountain came out kind of an homage to the British Bulldogs with their ring gear. It was really cool looking, and I was really kind of hoping they would be the ones to take those titles, but I'm sure they'll end up with them at some point. Drake and Gibson are, I mean, there's nobody in NXT UK that I could say is bad or has put on a bad match to this point. I mean, the UK wrestling scene is, one of the best in the world right now. And NXT UK has got some really, really good performers. So if you have not checked out NXT UK yet, I strongly suggest that you do because it's, you're going to be impressed. It's some great, great wrestling going on. WWE also announced the opening of their UK Performance Center. Basically, from the pictures and everything, it's pretty much a carbon copy of the Performance Center in Orlando here in the States. And so they're really going all in on their UK presence and making it a priority. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of growth with the NXT UK division. And of course, last Tuesday was the AEW Press Conference in Jacksonville, Florida. We got some more information, some more details about the company. Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks apparently are co-executive vice presidents of the company. And Brandy Rhodes is the chief brand officer. And I guess apparently the way it's going to be structured is Cody is going to be overseeing the men's singles division. Young Bucks are going to be overseeing the tag team division, and Brandy is going to be overseeing the women's division. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like they've got, they know exactly what they want to do, what direction they want to go in. The roster that they have so far is fantastic. Obviously, they've got Hangman Page, who's a member of the Elite. Came out, said, he plans on being the first ever AEW World Champion. He was then confronted by Pac, formerly known as Neville in WWE, saying he's, he basically disputing the fact, saying he's going to be the first AEW champion. SoCal Uncensored, another group of guys that's been signed with AEW, and for those of you that aren't familiar, SoCal Uncensored is Christopher Daniels, Scorpio Sky, and Frankie Kazarian. In the women's division, they've got Britt Baker and Penelope Ford. They've also got Joey Janela, MJF. Billy Gunn is signed on as a producer, and probably the biggest surprise of the press conference was the appearance of Chris Jericho, and he has apparently signed a 3-year deal with AEW. According to him, it's the biggest deal of his career, I guess, money-wise. And I don't think we're going to see Jericho wrestling weekly on TV or anything like that, but he's, definitely going to be, I would think as of right now, he is pretty much the centerpiece of that promotion of that roster. So they've definitely got a pretty stacked roster as it stands right now, and I'm excited to see who else they're able to get. One of the big announcements, I know as far as the wrestlers go, or as far as the wrestlers are concerned, was that there would be equal pay between men and women. Now, that doesn't mean Britt Baker's going to make the same thing as Chris Jericho. What that means is, and Brandy Rhodes kind of expanded on that, is that, an entry-level woman would make the same as an entry-level man. There's not going to be, okay, entry-level man's going to make $80,000 a year and an entry-level woman's going to make $60,000 a year. No, they're going to be paid equally. And it's going to be Tony Khan also just expanded on that after the press conference when he was speaking to reporters, saying that it's going to be dependent on seniority, what else they're doing in the company, because he basically made it sound like they fully intend for people to be more involved in the company than just being wrestlers. I'm sure there will be some that are just in-ring performers, but like with Cody, he's part of the front office. The Bucks are part of the front office. Brandy's part of the front office. So if they're working as producers or bookers or trainers or whatever it might be, but it's going to be contingent on experience, seniority. He mentioned win-loss records. I'm not sure how that would work as far as the pay goes. Cody Rhodes did mention that wins and losses are going to matter because it's kind of, especially in WWE, it's kind of fallen by the wayside. It's like wins and losses are just kind of incidental. And yes, everybody knows it's all predetermined. So like one-loss records really, I guess, don't count. I guess that's the best way to say it. But at least make it appear that they do. I mean, if somebody's lost 3 title matches in a row, why are you going to give them another one? It doesn't really seem to make sense. So according to Cody, wins and losses are going to matter more than they ever have before, in his words. Another big announcement from Tony Khan was that employees of AEW are going to receive health insurance, which is something that wrestlers don't get from promotions. WWE wrestlers do not get health benefits. They're independent contractors. They're not WWE employees, so they're not covered under any kind of health plan that, say, the people in the office are. So that, I know that's going to be a big incentive for a lot of guys to look to AEW and possibly getting signed there. Also, they officially announced that Double or Nothing pay-per-view is going to take place on May 25th from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. I think that's a huge, huge step up. I mean, the Sears Center here in Chicago, they sold out in less than 30 minutes, 11,000 people. The MGM Grand has a capacity of about 17,000, so definitely a big step up. I'm sure they're going to fill it. You're going to have a lot of people. I mean, it's Las Vegas. It's probably the biggest tourist town in the United States. So you're going to have a lot of people coming in for this. They're also going to be holding StarCast 2 that same weekend from May 23rd till the 26th. If StarCast 1 was any indication, this is going to be just a ridiculous weekend. I seriously wish I could make it out there. Unfortunately, it's more than likely not going to happen. I really wish they would have done it in Chicago again, but I don't know if they would have been able to get into one of the bigger arenas here in Chicago because WWE kind of has a lock on them. But yeah, the Young Bucks also announced that they're gonna be kind of doing a talent swap, talent exchange, talent sharing, however you want to say it, agreement with a company called OWE in China. If you're not familiar with OWE, look them up on YouTube. Check out some of their videos. It's yeah, with these guys that they're bringing in, it's going to be fun to watch, to say the least. There's also some rumors flying around that they could possibly be working on an agreement with Impact Wrestling. That I think would be really good for both companies to be able to share talent. I actually mentioned on Twitter earlier this week, somebody posed the question, well, who would you like to see show up in AEW, and my answer was Johnny Impact, just so that he could call himself Johnny Elite, because he changes his name every promotion he goes to. So I'm sure he would be come out as Johnny Elite. And one of the things I know a lot of people were hoping for at the press conference was to see or at least hear something about Kenny Omega, but Kenny Omega's under contract to New Japan until January 31st, so I really didn't expect to see or hear anything about him at the press conference. Now, come February 1st, yeah, I'd be surprised if we hadn't heard anything as of February 1st. I mean, on their Being the Elite show, they've kind of been dropping hints. Kenny Omega, quote unquote, lost his phone, and then they showed a shot of his phone laying on the ground with the timer ticking in the background. So it probably another countdown clock like the Bucks had for the AEW announcement. So I'll have to see where that goes. But I'd be really surprised if we don't get an announcement either right at midnight, January 31st, or sometime on February 1st that Kenny Omega is signed with AEW. Something really interesting that's been going around online is that Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, and Kenny Omega all turned down monstrous offers from the WWE, and the details of the offers seem to get better and better every story I read about it. So I mean, it's all rumor and everything. I'm sure offers were made because WWE would kind of be stupid not to try to get these guys, but just some of the contract terms that I've been seeing online are just really kind of out there. But yeah, obviously, these guys they're betting on themselves, and so I cannot wait to see what direction AEW goes. According to Chris Jericho, when he was on Busted Open Radio this past week, he was saying that there is a TV deal in place. Obviously, he didn't give any details because he's not the one negotiating it. That would obviously be done by Tony Khan, probably Cody and the Bucks. But the rumors going around about that is that it is on a major network. The networks that have been speculated are TBS, TNT, the Paramount Network, which used to be Spike TV, and ESPN. ESPN, I don't think is very likely, and this was mentioned online as well, because you'd have to worry about preemptions for sporting events and things like that. So I'm not thinking ESPN is a really serious uh, contender for it. TBS and TNT is interesting just because Time Warner kind of, I mean, they're basically the reason WCW went 100% out of business is because when Eric Bischoff was trying to buy WCW before Vince McMahon did, that particular deal was contingent on keeping the time slots that were already in place for Nitro and Thunder. And at the last minute, Time Warner came in and said, no, we're canceling all wrestling programming. You're not going to have a TV show with us. So now, 16, 17, 18 years later, whatever it is, they're apparently open to having wrestling on their channels again. So that I just find that very interesting. And then of course the Paramount Network, Spike TV, and before it was Spike TV, it was TNN, the Nashville Network or the National Network. Channels had a lot of names, but that's the same channel. Originally had ECW. After that, they had Raw for a little while, and after that, they had Impact, and they've also had the UFC at different points in time. So, I think probably Spike would probably be the most likely. I think because they're definitely wrestling friendly, or they always have been. So that's my guess is that they're going to end up on the Paramount Network, and I'll definitely be watching. By all accounts, it's going to be a Tuesday night show because that's the one of the names that AEW trademarked is Tuesday Night Dynamite. So and that's smart on their part because as everybody knows, when SmackDown moves to Fox in October, that it's moving to Friday nights, so it's going to leave that Tuesday night time slot wide open. People are already used to watching wrestling every Tuesday night, so they can just kind of slide in there and say, hey, instead of watching on USA, click over to TNT or Paramount or whatever channel it might be, and check out AEW. So they've got a built-in audience, of the wrestling fans who are used to watching wrestling every Tuesday night. Again, more rumors and innuendo floating around about Bill Goldberg possibly signing with AEW. There was one story out there that said that the TV deal was contingent on Goldberg signing with AEW. I highly doubt that that's the case. I mean, I can't see a TV deal being, hinging on one person like that on this kind of deal. Not saying it's not possible. I just think it's unlikely. And if Goldberg was to sign with AEW, he would kind of be, I would think, in the Brock Lesnar type role where he's a special attraction. I mean, he's, again, like Jericho, he's not going to be one that's going to be out there in the ring every single week. It's just not not going to happen. I mean, he said himself his last WWE run, he was miserable, but he did it because he wanted his son wanted to see him wrestle. So that's why he went back at it more or less full time for that short little run that he had. But yeah, Goldberg's definitely not going to be an every week performer like he was back in his WCW days. It's just not going to happen. And Tony Khan has said he's talked to Goldberg, but there's nothing. They have no agreement in place or anything like that. He's not under contract as of right now, so we'll have to see what comes out of that one. And probably the most interesting rumor that I've read is about AJ Styles potentially ending up in AEW. And basically, what this rumor said was that AJ wants a lighter schedule because he does want to spend more time at home with his wife and his kids. And his contract is coming up pretty quickly here, according to the online buzz, is that his contract is up after WrestleMania, and he wants a lighter schedule. So he could potentially, I mean, if AEW is able to offer the kind of contracts that are comparable to what WWE offers, it's entirely possible you could see AJ Styles end up in AEW. And, of course, there's been rumors going around about guys that are not happy with their position in WWE right now, possibly going over to AEW. And, I mean, with the money that's out there, Cody Rhodes said it himself. They're gonna make it a priority to pay the wrestlers well. So that right there is gonna, bring wrestlers into AEW. I mean, you're talking about, top pay, equal pay for men and women, and health benefits. Those are three things that wrestlers have been wanting for decades. So you could, I could easily see a lot of guys making that jump. If that is the case, I mean, like I said, this is what Cody has said. This is not rumor. This is what was said at the press conference. So the next few months are going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think you're gonna probably see some bidding wars for some guys, and I'm excited to see how this is all gonna play out. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today was some stuff that's been going on Twitter. And I have a Twitter follower, and I follow her as well. She is a wrestling blogger. Her name on Twitter is Bexhemian Rhapsody, and her Twitter handle is at Do It With Flareon, Flareon. I hope I pronounced that right. If not, I'm sorry. But she is a wrestling blogger. Her blog can be found at theblondepipebombshell.wordpress.com. Yeah, I highly recommend you guys check it out. I mean, she knows her stuff. She just put out a new blog today about Sasha Banks, basically kind of like a history of Sasha Banks, if you will. And yeah, I mean, she's very good. She knows her stuff. You can just tell in her writing she has a passion and a love for wrestling. And I have become a fan of hers, and hopefully she's a fan of mine. I don't know if she listens to the show or not, but the reason I wanted to bring this up is, number one, tell you guys, hey, go over there and check it out. Like I said, her blog is theblondepipebombshell.wordpress.com. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is, some Twitter troll decided he was gonna basically call her out because of a typo in her last blog that she wrote about the AEW press conference. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do this kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, nobody likes making mistakes like that, and pointing it out is okay. Like, say if I was to be the one to do it, number one, it wouldn't have been publicly on Twitter. It would have been a DM saying, hey, I read your blog, I noticed you had a typo in this paragraph, you might want to fix it, or something along those lines. At least show a little bit of respect or a little bit of common courtesy. Instead, this guy decided he was going to call her out and insult her and all this kind of stuff, and in the process of doing it, he had his own typos in his tweet to her, which I just thought the irony of it was just ridiculous. So I called him out on that, and so did a few other people. I mean, and the tweet that he decided to call her out on was one where she just mentioned, that bloggers don't get the same respect as podcasters, and they should, and I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, whether you're a blogger or a podcaster or whatever you do, and not even just with wrestling, just in general, you put in a lot of work, you put your heart and soul into what you do, because obviously, we ain't doing this for the money, folks. It's because we love doing it. Like me personally, I love pro wrestling. I wasn't able to be a pro wrestler myself. I tried, I'm just not athletically inclined. I'm injury prone, and you know, took one chair shot and said, yeah, this really isn't for me. And but yeah, I whatever physical health issues I have just kind of prohibited me from pursuing that dream. But like I said, I gave it a shot. I can at least say that I tried, and it just wasn't meant to be. And all these years later, with how popular podcasting has become, I figured, what the hell? Why not give this a shot? It stuff like this, whether it's blogging or podcasting, it lets you contribute in some small way to the business, and that's all I really want to do. That's why I started doing this, and I'm pretty sure it's the same reason that she started doing this. She's, like I said, obviously, just by reading her work, you can tell the love and the passion that she has for pro wrestling, and you wanna try to be some small part of it. If you can't, if you're not able to get into the business yourself for whatever reason, and to call somebody out like that and to insult their work because they made a mistake is just, it's petty and just ridiculous. And and it's unnecessary. I mean, if my whole thing is, if you don't like it, don't read it. If you don't like my podcast, don't listen to it. If you don't like her blog, don't read it. It's as simple as that. Why go through the trouble of giving them views or giving me listens or whatever it might be, or downloads, if you're just gonna, turn around and shit all over what somebody's doing? I mean, no, nobody's perfect. And we, like I said, we do this for strictly for the love of the business. We're not in this for the money. And again, for whatever reason, weren't able to actually get into the business ourselves. And we put in a lot of work on these. I mean, I know for me personally, this is a one-man show. I don't have a producer or anything like that. I'm sure Becky doesn't have proofreaders or editors or anything like that for her blog. She does it on her own, and just simply because she loves to do it. And as far as the typos go, I look at those as a really good thing. And I'll tell you exactly why. Those typos are good because, number one, it shows that she's human, first and foremost. And human beings make mistakes. It happens. But it shows, most importantly, it shows that she still gets excited about wrestling, because that's exactly why those typos happened. She was, excited. The AEW press conference had just ended. She was hyped up about it. She was typing, and her fingers were probably moving a little faster than she wanted them to, and she hit a couple of wrong keys. Hey, you know what? It shows me she still gets excited about wrestling, which means she is still a fan. She's not a critic, and she's got it in her heart, and she loves it, and that's an awesome thing. So, a couple of typos aren't going to change the fact that I think this girl is great at what she does. I enjoy reading her blog every time she puts a new one out, and I've just started reading it just within the last few weeks since I started following her on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I got to say about it. Like I said, it's just completely unnecessary and disrespectful to call somebody out like that, and you know, it's just I said it last time, about the whole Tony Storm issue. It's like, just be a decent human being. If you have a negative opinion about somebody, you don't always have to spew it out at them. Just, if you don't like what they do, don't pay attention to it. Don't follow them on Twitter. Don't read her blog. Don't listen to my podcast. I honestly, I don't care about the people that don't like me. I really don't. I only care about the people that do like me and do like the show. Those are the ones that I continue to do it for. If you don't like me, sorry, too bad. You have nothing to say about it. Your opinion means less than zero. Then that's the way it is. So, but anyway, one more time, Twitter handle at Do It With Flareon, Flareon. Again, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but and her blog can be found at theblondepipebombshell.wordpress.com. Check it out, give it a read. Like I said, her latest one is about Sasha Banks. Really good. Goes through her history from independence into NXT and up to WWE, and yeah, just a really good comprehensive history of Sasha's career. So if you're a fan of Sasha Banks, definitely give it a read. And but yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for this week. So once again, thank you everybody for checking out the show. Make sure you're subscribing and leaving reviews or ratings or whatever on whatever subscription podcast service you guys have: Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, pretty much anywhere you find podcasts. And you can find the video feed on YouTube and Twitch. Social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Make sure you're following along there. If you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. And also, don't forget, Sunday, January 27th, 6 p.m. Central Time, Royal Rumble viewing party, live streaming on Twitch. So I hope you guys will check it out. If you're in Chicago, again, it's at Nighthawk Coffee Bar and Tavern at the intersection of Kimball Avenue and Lawrence Avenue on the north side of Chicago. So with that, I will sign off. Hope everybody has a good week, and I will talk to you guys soon.